Welcome back to the More Smarter Show, the number one business mindset and strategy podcast in the world. This is episode 51 with your hosts, Jake and Dylan. Jake, what do we have on the agenda today? We got just us today. Solo. We had a guest who canceled today, but we respect it. His wife is going into labor today. And I think it's amazing, courteous enough for him to even just like let us know, hey, in a couple hours I'm supposed to be on your podcast, but I can't because my wife is going into labor. He thought of us when he's thinking of his newborn.
Yeah. And not only mentioning that, but when he originally applied to be on the show like months ago, he even said that. He said, hey, my wife is going to be due. He did. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
He was like, my wife's going to be due around there. And yeah, he's not lying. That is one of the excusable things too. It's like no show, no call. Your wife's going into labor. All right, bro. Like,
well, and what Dylan and I are referencing is a few months ago, so many episodes ago, we had a no show, no call, our only one in 51 episodes. This person just bailed on us without even acknowledging anything, and we have like 30 ways to reach out to each guest before the episode, so there's no way they forgot. It just we weren't important enough for this person, and that's what we're referencing when we say big shout out and respect to canceling on us with courtesy and advance notice.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into, like, I feel like solo episodes were like really starting to dial in on what I guess what only the show is about. So like the more smarter show, kind of how the impact it's had on our lives, and then mentally and actually. But then really quickly, let's dive into what
how we're doing.
Look like, how we're doing, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay. So this is episode 51. We started over a year ago. Well, almost 52 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We did one episode per week. And I'm on our analytics now. So the way this works is, of course, YouTube, you can just see how many views you get, but we're also on Spotify and Apple, so we can see like a deep dive into analytics. So on YouTube, what are we doing? Like 30 to 50 an episode at this moment?
Roughly. Yeah, we've maxed out, I think, around like 140 views. We've had that was an hour-long podcast, but we're averaging. We don't have one podcast that has under 20 views on YouTube.
Right. So 20 is like our lowest, and we're averaging around in the I think 50-ish for just YouTube, but some have been in the 80s and hundreds as well. Especially over time. So even the ones we're talking about now, over time, we'll have more. But anyway, Spotify and Apple. So let me ask, I'm going to form this in the way of a trivia question, Dylan. I did tell you already how many downloads and streams we have in our lifetime. What is that number?
That number, before I say it, I want you, everyone listening, I want you to guess. Put it in the comment section of what you believe it is before I say it. I think it's 500.
509. That is just through Spotify and Apple. So those are the amount of people, or those are the amount of downloads and streams that we've had, not including YouTube.
Yep.
Which I think is a cool number. I think 500 is like a nice little milestone. I don't really know how to weigh that number, but I think it's cool. So, All right, now I'll ask you, Dylan, and any listeners can also guess to themselves or in the comments the gender breakdown of female versus male listeners. This is just Spotify and Apple data, so not including YouTube.
Well, considering that we've only had, I think, 2 female guests on the show, I would say that we're probably very skewed far to the male side in 95.5.
My God, you're so wrong. You forgot how handsome I am. We are straight down the middle, 50-50. Literally 50% for both.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
It's not a glitch. Well, I can confirm that it wouldn't just say that and to make it easy for us. I've been following. Like, it used to be higher in male. And I don't know, we had a female guest on a few episodes ago. Maybe that changed. I know she has a community of females. Maybe she shared it with them.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do have on boss females that come on. So
that's right.
I respect that part. So that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Next question. Age okay, it's hard to ask in a question because there's not just two options, but age breakdown. So
My
I will say,
guess,
yeah, go ahead.
my guess would be, we target, I guess the newer entrepreneur is what I believe is a perfect demographic. So anywhere between 25 and 35 is what I would say.
You know what? I'm only looking at the last 30 days, so let me start over. My
Okay.
bad. Okay. 46% male, 53% female. This is all time. So I was looking at the last 30 days.
Really?
Wow, yeah. I forgot I've had
Dang.
some IM, I guess.
Yeah, I
Wow.
didn't. Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Okay.
crazy.
So now what did you say? Because now I'm looking at new numbers for
I
age.
said 25 to 35 range, but I wouldn't imagine, I wouldn't guess that it's any lower than that. I would say it's even higher if it is.
Okay. Well, the highest range of age by far is in their number ranges is 28 to 34.
Mm,
That is 76% of our listeners.
really?
And of those, 60% are female, 39% are male. So 60% female in the 28 to 34 range. That is interesting information.
Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
guess Meg is sharing the podcast a lot.
I'm just re-listening to
Or
it. Yeah.
re-listening to it. Yeah.
The next highest, so again, that was 76% at 28 to 34. The next highest is all the way down to 12% of our listeners are 23 to 27. And then we have some 4% in the 18 to 22 range and the 45 to 59 range, which is your parents.
Yeah, that's who it is. My dad listening to it on repeat. But so I wholeheartedly believe that if you've listened to all 52 of these episodes, or 51 now,
50, yes.
51, you at the age of 23, I'm 23, you will have so much knowledge about business. We've interviewed probably over 40 business owners. We've had probably about 10 solo episodes, and just talking about business and, the mindset that comes along with it. I really serious. That's why we start off with, this is the number one business mindset and strategy podcast. And Jake, you were the one who said that, but now I'm full around that because I believe it.
So I said that should be our intro, and you had a huge problem with that. But who says we're not number one? Who's number one if we're not?
Yeah.
So we're number one.
I imagine that there are charts that will prove that we're not number one.
What, in views or listens?
I guess. But if you're
That's
talking
not how
about
I weigh it, then.
impact, yeah,
That's right.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's keep going into the analytics here. There's a couple more things. Actually, this might be the last. United States. So geographic location. United States is number one for our listeners on all platforms, minus YouTube. And that is at 60% of listeners. You probably would have guessed like in the 90s.
I would have.
But I'm laying that up for you so you can start guessing some other countries that might be towards the top. There's two other countries that are at 15 and 11% respectively, and the rest are like 1 and 2%.
Wow. I'm trying to think of guests that we've had that are even from
Okay, how about this?
different countries.
Can you mute me for a sec? I'm gonna make a prediction on air to the listeners of what you're gonna say as your country. Okay.
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 right.
Okay. Dylan is gonna say Canada, China, and Mexico.
All right.
All right, come on in. I named 3 countries that I think you'll
3
say.
countries. All right. So I think it's the Philippines.
Gonna say that. I was gonna say that. Oh, it's not the Philippines.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Damn it, I was gonna say that.
Canada.
Okay, I nailed one.
And
That's not correct.
that's not it.
No.
I mean, I feel like Mexico would be too bad, but Mexico.
I went 2 for 3. I said you were gonna say one more to see if I get that third one. They're all wrong, by
I
the
don't
way.
know, like Russia.
I had China as my other. China,
gosh.
Canada, and Mexico. Anyway, the correct answer is Japan is our second highest behind United States. and Vietnam is third.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out Japan and Vietnam. I appreciate all the listeners there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's like I just watched this video on like North Korean spies, and I'm wondering now my mind is spinning a little bit.
Now, should we not go into our next topic of
Some
money?
data. Yeah, let's go into the next topic. But
All right, so
good game.
yeah, so clearly I don't know our audience that well, but so the next topic that we're going to talk about is money. We we are, the Business Mindset and Strategy podcast, and that does not mean finances. So we don't really talk about money all that often, and it's understandable because it's not as people don't like it out there as much. Me, however, and Jake, I feel like you're semi-similar. I don't really mind. Maybe now that you said spies, I'm a little bit more hesitant.
I like talking numbers to an extent. I like talking ideas more. Well, okay, I really like talking numbers to people in real life, but I
Yeah.
do feel a little differently when we're recording to the world, when this will live on the
Forever.
internet forever.
Yeah. That's the only part that's weird. But also, it's not like you're giving out
Yeah, it's
anything
fine.
that like people are gonna steal. Like you can't
No.
steal money that you say, So
We
like,
don't have Oz the Mentalist telling us our PIN code.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I know one thing that we've spoke about on a previous podcast is I cashed out of my retirement. I'm 23 years old. I was building my retirement for like 3 years at the time. And so it wasn't that much money, but I cashed that, whatever that money it was.
So you
out. It
took
was
your
about-
piggy bank and
I took
brought
my
it
piggy
where?
bank and I smashed it on the ground. I picked it all up and I threw it into my computer on Bitcoin.
Okay,
And
what's your price on that?
price is not good right now. It's
Well, not now,
my
but-
average price is $90,000. To put in perspective, it is
So $100,000.
June 2026. It's like $94,000.
Yeah,
I had to make it sound a little bit better.
I know.
But so right now, June 2026, early June, Bitcoin is at like 67,000. Or maybe that was yesterday. So, and as you could probably tell, pretty bad investment at this point in time,
Yeah,
right?
I got you. But again, like we had one of our guests on who retired late. What am I trying to say? He had a retirement. Yeah, he quit his job or got fired at like 63 and then became a millionaire at 73, I think it was.
Yep.
So you're looking at a long-term horizon here. You started by saying it's a retirement account. So it doesn't really matter what's happened in the last year. You made that decision.
Totally. Yeah. And and like if we're going to put it in perspective, it was $15,000. So $15,000 for me at the time, I was like 20, I was 22. I think I did it before I turned 23, and it's a lot of money at the time, but
Of course.
I didn't really care because I knew that I was going to be making more money in the future, and the industry that I'm in is uncapped of how much money I can make. So I was like, you know what? Let me just make this risk. I'll take this jump. And it's a risk, right? Everyone even says that too, where, you could put $100,000 down on an investment property. And that's a quote unquote risk because I have to spend even more money on there and tenants and all this stuff.
So the thing is, at 23, and it's still true. Not probably, it is true for even 33, what I am, is you can't mess up even if you try to mess up. If you're talking about a 30 to 40 year horizon of money, like you can't mess up. I guess something could go to zero, like Bitcoin. It could go to zero. Anything could go to zero, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's all about the long term.
Totally. And I think you're quoting from Gary Vee there, where I think
not.
Gary Vee was still, I think, working at his dad's wine company at 33 and making like $100,000 a year or something like that is what he says. So that's why his mindset is always like, you're a baby, you have so much time to like just mess up.
Well, I'm talking about specifically for a retirement account. Like it's literally defined as you can't touch it until you're a certain age. So like you
Yeah.
can't mess up over that long.
True. But then now only recently I've been starting to think like I will always be bullish in real estate investments for however, like, I don't know, at least the next 10 years, spending a lot of my savings on properties. Um, so should I have not been as bullish in making a move with my whole entire Roth IRA that I could have been maxing out for the past 2 years to have a substantial amount of money in the market, but in actuality, it's only $7,000 a year compared to throwing that all on Bitcoin, and I haven't put any of it back into Bitcoin since I
So
put that big nest egg.
that was hard to follow that monologue. I don't really know what you're saying, but you're just saying like because you're now all about real estate, you wish you had $15,000 to invest in real estate.
No, that's not at all what I was saying.
All right,
So
you gotta be faster. Then try again.
you were looking somewhere else.
Actually, no.
So I am always going to be bullish in real estate. A lot of my savings are going into real estate deals now, and then also, over the next 10 years, I believe. I wish, hindsight, I did not pull all that money out of my Roth IRA and put it into Bitcoin, because now I'm bullish in two, I guess, more risky asset classes compared to staying in something like a Roth IRA, which is very traditional. And the only cost of it is not having that $15,000 in Bitcoin and only $7,000 a year to max it out every year.
Okay, but you're saying it like you can't diversify from here. I mean,
I'm upset though, because I had 3 years of maxed out Roth IRA, and it's like,
I get
damn,
it.
I can't
had
put
those
another.
thoughts.
It's gonna take me so much more.
I had those thoughts too because I didn't do that every year either. And then the market goes up, and you're like, oh well, I'm not going to do it this year because it's double the price as last year when I didn't do it. And then yeah, I've been there too. And for me, in my retirement account, well, because I was a teacher and because I was contributing to each paycheck, like I do have a nice 401k, an IRA, and stuff like that. And so what happens is when you're a teacher as well, you pay into your pension every paycheck. But because I taught for 8 years and not 10, I don't get a pension when I am eligible later in life. But it's not, I don't just lose that money, that I still contributed that money to myself. Or to the pension program. So I was able to take that money, and I would have got taxed on it if I just took it, but I rolled that over into 401k, I believe, possibly an IRA, one of those two. So I do have a lot of money in that, is what I'm trying to say, just from by accident, basically. But going forward as a self-employed, S corp, but real estate professional, what I do is I contribute to some retirement accounts for tax savings for the current year tax. You ever consider that?
No.
Yeah,
No, I
you should.
I have not. Yeah, I should.
I think you should. I'm able to tell myself, because I agree with you. I like real estate. I have a few properties. I want more. And when I retire, I think the real estate I bought when I was 30 is going to be worth a lot more than whatever I put into my retirement account when I was 30. But I like not paying taxes too. So to have that combination of things is helpful.
It's crucial. It's crucial.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think, that a lot of people. The thing is, when you're in a commission based business and it's uncapped, you now have a lot more of, if you're good at it, have more disposable income to just be like trying out new investment strategies. When on the other end, if you're have a set salary of $100,000, you're going to get taxed immediately, and you don't have, you don't have that ability. So it's almost better to stick in those, trustworthy categories, because what does happen if your boiler goes out?
Well, so I'm gonna bring this into real estate investing because I have been doing a lot of thinking about this. I happen to have a lot of people in my life who want a rental property, right? Like as their realtor. And I okay, I'll twist this story and I'll twist this into a story. I had a 25-year-old buyer consultation, a kid who had a buyer consultation with me 2 years ago. 2020, it was like 2023. And he told me he's living at home. He wants to remain living at home and cuz he's living for free and he wants to buy a rental property, an investment property. And I said, "Well, why don't you move into the property and house hack? This way you could buy a two-family, you can live in one unit, rent the other, you can add value while you're living there. And most importantly, for what his goals were, is that he can continue to buy in the later years because you only need to come in with like 5% down if you're occupying the home versus 25% down if it's an investment property." And that last part alone I think changed his life because he listened to me. Shout out to him, credit for him to listen to me, and he bought a two family, moved into one of the units. I rented it out for him a year later. He lived there for a year, rented it out. It cash flows like slightly for him, I believe. And then he bought another one already. So now he has 4 units and he's house hacking his second one. And next year probably is his third two family.
That's awesome.
He has 4 units all because of the order in his life at which he bought the properties. If he paid 25% down for that first property, he would have bought one, but then all his money would have been in that property. And he couldn't buy his second one for years and years and years. And then if he did that again, it would be years and years and years for his third one for however he could save up money. And just by switching the order of events, he's able to accumulate a real estate portfolio.
Hmm.
And that's how I did it. And that's how you, I think, are doing it. No?
No.
Kind of.
Well, it was a little bit more difficult for me because my income style is harder to prove. So in
Yeah.
order to get qualified for the multifamily that I did purchase, I had to put 20% down. So
But you
it took a
can,
lot of my
but
money.
that's okay. But what you can do is you still have life in your life. You can move into another property. What
Yes.
happens is you turn my age and my friends want to buy an investment property because they own their house and whatever reason they want to buy an investment property. But the only way we can accomplish that is 25% down because they're not moving. They have a family. Like they're not, you know what I mean? So at the point where you have a family and you're probably not house hacking, you're buying a new house hack, right?
Sure.
So that just changes, like, how can you buy an investment property unless you get a really good deal or figure out hard money and but at that point you're a real estate professional.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just such an amazing tool to just be young and to move into properties and to accumulate properties that way.
Totally. It totally is. I would almost argue though, I mean, nothing against your point. Your point is 100% accurate. It's not possible to do that if you don't have more money to be spending on a property. If you don't have 25%, you need to be living there and to make it make sense. And even if you do have that 25%, I would have preferred to put 5% down. I had to put the 20% down to even get qualified, but just think about how much further you can go if you have that additional money. I think when we're doing this though, do you have any concern of up and down markets?
Like
Because
over
especially if
leverage.
yeah, you're over leveraged, you buy one house a year for the next 10 years, but you only have 10% equity in
So
each property.
So 10's an extreme case, but sure. Like the point is you're young and you can over leverage, right? So the reason I transitioned into this part of the conversation is because we were just talking about how you can't possibly mess up if you look at the investment over the lifespan, you being in your 20s to when you're in your 60s. And I feel personally similarly to North Jersey real estate that what like you can't mess up if you if you own real estate for 40 years in North Jersey. Like, I'm sorry, you can't. I'll say that as a fact. um, and so that's my answer to that.
But also the 25%, I was going to mention something on that. Yes, even if so someone in their 30s wants to buy a rental property and put 25% down, how does that even how does that even like make sense for them to do? Like, okay, go buy a $750,000 two family, put down 25%, which is basically the minimum when you're investing. So you have, I don't know, hopefully $400 a month cash flow. So your cash on cash return, which at that point in your investment, it is a math equation because you're not living there. Then like it's never going to be a better decision than just 10% in the S&P 500 if you can assume that money, right? So it's how does anyone do it at that level?
I guess you got to be making a lot of money
Yeah,
in
like
order
you
to
need
do
to be
that.
able to park your money for like tax purposes, depreciation. Then it
Mhm.
starts making sense. And like being a full-time real estate professional, those things are, of course, add to the algorithm. But if you're just young and keep moving into new properties, you will not lose. And, the other thing, I'm seeing a lot of people my age who bought properties before they had to. So they're in their 30s, they just got married, let's say, just had a kid, and they want a bigger home. And they currently own their, let's say, condo, and it's too small for their life right now. But they have bought 5-7 years ago, and they now have 200K of equity. So now, when they're trying to buy their dream home with their significant other, they can actually afford something like they want, like they envisioned in their life,
Totally.
or keep the
Yeah.
first one as a rental, which I try to push because like I said, you're probably not getting another chance at a rental property unless you keep the first property.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but then does it make it not possible for them anymore with the high down payment? Like, yeah, that happened with a client before. It's this exact same situation. They bought a house. Their monthly payment. They bought a house in 2019. Their monthly payment is extremely low compared to what it is today, and because of that, they were able to put an offer in on this gorgeous
Did they
house. But
sell
they
it
were
or did they keep it?
put an offer in. They didn't. They didn't get the offer
Gotcha.
accepted, but they
Gotcha.
got approved up to that high number because of that large down payment of equity that they were able to put
Yep.
towards it. So there's a give and take to it where it's like, all right, not everyone's out there to be living this, the landlord game.
And let me get ahead of an objection that any listener might have is that we had like the best 5 to 7 run in appreciation in recent memory. So sure, even if the next decade doesn't appreciate the same way the last decade did, your alternative is renting somewhere. So if you use that money if you can use that in factoring into the whole equation over 7 years, I'll say, I give myself a couple of years, so say 7, plus the flexibility of moving when you want to, not when you have to, when you're ready to buy that. You It's going to make more sense to buy when you're young and to do that strategy versus not doing it. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of Dylan, I don't know if you like your Twitter and Instagram and stuff has the debate of buying versus renting.
it
I'm
does. Yeah.
I'm like open to hearing that. I read and watch all of that. There are cases where renting can make more sense. I totally agree. I think 7 years is generally speaking that mark at which buying makes the most sense.
If you're
And in
going to
North
stay
Jersey,
in that one location for 7 years, is
if
what
you're
you're
no,
saying?
if you're going to own the home for 7 years
For 7 years. Yeah.
without selling it, I think North
Yes.
Jersey you might even get less than 7 years because appreciation is pretty standard.
Yeah. Yes. And the counter argument is your down payment in the market instead of what your down payment is in the appreciation game of real estate.
Totally.
That's the counter. And then also just a monthly basis thing. I've seen it where instead of, instead of buying a house in Miami, you rent a 5-bedroom house with 4 other dudes and your monthly payment is lower too.
Well, that becomes unbeatable. I wasn't even just saying that. That, of course, maths out in
Yes.
that person's favor. But
But
even just
even
like
if you're
value add, right?
yeah,
There's a million ways to make it work.
totally. Totally. And I also think that there's a phase of people's life where they could be renting. And there's a phase of people's life where they are working at AutoZone. Like I was when I was 19 years old, I was working at AutoZone. I just dropped out of college
and I'm having this like older man yell at me for not grabbing the alternator like he asked me to. Like
I just
there's a
went to
portion of
AutoZone.
everyone's life. Yeah, wow. That
No, Auto
bring
Parts.
back
That's the same
memories.
place.
Our Auto Parts? No.
Yeah, all right,
They're our
that's where I
harsh
went.
competitor. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Delete that. Delete that.
But yeah, so where I personally stand is you need to there's a goal for yourself, and if that's owning real estate, then that's phenomenal. But how are you gonna actually make it happen? Is it you do have if you do have to rent, then you have to rent for now. But rent in an area where you are sharing a house with other people. Still have that mindset. The mindset's what's the
Yeah.
most important.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people out there on the internet make a case for renting and renting a nicer house than they would be able to afford to buy, and in a location where it betters their life, and maybe they could have a podcast studio there, or art studio if they're an artist, like some extra space that like buying really it's hard to find.
Yeah.
And I get that if you want to add that like numbers, like that's different than numbers, you know what I mean? So there's certainly something to be said about that, because there's also something to be said about owning your home and doing renovations to it and like having people over and own like you. I also can't quantify the feeling of owning the house that I live in. So I get all sides. I'm just speaking of numbers and over a longer period of time.
Totally. Yeah. I met one of my neighbors last week, and he is the absolute epitome of finding the best house for him. I mark it right now. He is going to be a guest in the podcast. He is a full-time virtual piano teacher.
Okay.
He teaches
Interested.
people all around the world. And then he has this beautiful standalone house right across from a lake, has a detached garage with a loft above it where his piano studio is. So it's separate. And then on the opposite side, he rents out a lot where people park their boats.
So he owns the home.
He owns the house, yes.
That is really cool. That is really cool. I credit to him and credit to anyone who does something like that. Where I try to remain relatable is saying, well, when he bought that house, it was probably 200K and now it's probably 800K. So I try to remain relatable to a younger person who might, the 28 to 34 range, who's 76% of our listeners.
Yeah.
And who might think like, oh, the appreciation of the last 10 years, blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yeah. To be fair, this guy bought the house in December. He's 35.
Nice.
He's 35.
Oh, 35.
Yes. And he made it happen. But that's possible for everyone. So, but again, though, he found an avenue where his income was uncapped. And
Yeah. I love this guy.
Even
Is he
though
35 or 34? That's big right now.
He's probably older. I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Because if he's up to 34, then he's a listener. If he's not 30,
That's
if he's
true.
older, if he's older, then he probably doesn't listen, and we know that.
He doesn't listen. He's probably 35. So uninvited. Yeah, no, but that's it though. It's everything is within the realm of possibility, and the same thing here too, where you have to just see the vision. And I don't know if anyone watching on YouTube sees in the background, I have it on the very bottom of my screen. Every single year, I have a massive board, like one of those like printer boards that like kids use for presentations. And I write out all my goals. I have a yearly campaign. So this year is the year of explosion, 2026, year of explosion.
Damn.
Within my business and in my life, and within the podcast too, where I'm setting myself up. I set those goals for something that's going to explode, and I'm going to be really excited for the year. And that is something that has driven me. I've done it for the past 3 years. That has driven me to think beyond measure, from going from that AutoZone worker to now kind of who I am right now, a real estate investor, and closing a bunch of deals.
So the year of explosion is almost halfway done. So what's next year's word? Do you know?
I don't know. I think explosion is pretty high up. You can't really.
Well, I had year of growth. I think 2025 or 2024, because I do the same exercise. My 2026, do you know what mine is?
I don't. Let me try and guess it though. Maybe the year of tranquility.
I don't really know what that means. Like my breath coach, that was last
Yeah,
year.
your breath coach.
No, it's a good guess, but no, it's actually point guard vision.
Mm,
It's the year
the
of
year of
point
point
guard
guard
vision.
vision.
Jalen Brunson, shout out. It's the year of point guard vision. I don't know if I've done a good job with that specific goal. I've had a good year in many things, but I don't know if it's quite the point guard vision year like I wanted it to be. But I got 7 more months, so I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah. No, yeah, you'll be good. And I mean, elaborate more. That's like the point guard. Obviously, I play basketball, so you just got to know what's going on in your life and in the court.
Yeah, it's just being open to explosion in ways that aren't right in front of me necessarily.
Mm. And then knowing when to pass and when to shoot.
That's right. I mean, this
That's cool.
podcast, I think, relates. I think we've grown the podcast pretty well over the last, since 2026 started, for our words, our phrases
Yep.
of the year. And point guard vision is just like thinking. It's not just growth. Explosion means growth, but it's growing strategically or hiring an editor or having ad space, which all of which is in the works,
Yeah. Totally. Totally. That's something I think for myself, it's all been blunt kind of force, like have to really strive and work lots of hours. That's where the More Smarter Show has changed my life.
Mhm.
Thinking otherwise, not having to work whatever 80 hours a week in order to feel like I have an accomplished week. Um, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm investing in too. It's like I'm okay with now dropping thousands of dollars a year on different softwares that are going to save me time.
Mm. Yeah, me
And
too. Me too for that mindset. Whether or not I've done that specifically, it's a mindset to be okay with it.
yes, yes, and pushing past any limiting belief with that too. Where for me, the past couple of years, it's been built a year of building, year of growth, year of explosion. So it's kind of like working its way up till about now.
You
And
realize exploding isn't a good thing. Like it disintegrates. like it's the
I'm
opposite of
thinking
more.
I'm thinking of like a firework explosion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at first, but now that you're saying it, I'm like, wait, you
2026,
explode.
the year of firework explosion. It doesn't go as well as
Well,
just
like you
regular explosion.
explode, you fucking die.
Yeah, fair. So maybe we'll look past that in 6 months from now. I um but I can't stress enough how important that is alone. Just writing down these goals. And for myself, I've I have never been as dialed on accomplishing those things that I actually wrote down in December of the following year more than I am this year. And I track it every single year. I have, I believe it is about 18. I have 18 different goals that I set across 6 different buckets.
The 6 Fs.
Yeah, this is pretty much the 6 Fs. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which Jake, what are they?
Fitness, future, fun, friends, family, finances. Oh, let's
Finances.
go.
Is that
That's
5 or
6.
6?
6.
So it's all those 6, and I have 3 different goals that I set for each one of them. And at the end of each year, after I set those goals, I look back and I say, all right, out of the 18, how many did I accomplish? Year of building, I accomplished like 16%.
Wait. Go get into more specifically what you mean by a goal. Like, give me an example, maybe of fitness,
So
for example.
a goal of fitness, like my goal last year was to run a half marathon. I ran a half marathon. So that's an accomplishment. I said that. For finances, obviously, certain income amount. For like spiritual is one thing that I had this year, and I'm on track to accomplish it. I said I wanted to start a weekly Bible group, and I started it this year, and I'm really
Gotcha.
happy about that.
So it's sometimes an action, not a
It's
result.
exactly.
Okay.
But sometimes because it's hard though. How do you how do you set a goal for your spirit?
I don't know.
You
It's
know,
not one of my 6 Fs.
well, so yeah, but that's where I I started to think more. But
Okay. So you 16%
yep, so
year one.
16% the first year. The following year, it was 30% of growth, and then this year, as of right now, I'm already at 40% for all my accomplishments. So I think like if I'm hitting around 80%, I don't want to hit like hitting 100% of your goals is probably
It's
not good
it's not good. It's not good.
because you set your bar a little too low.
Right.
I think if anything below 80 to 75%, you probably could have pushed yourself harder to accomplish it, or you set too hard of goals. Around right around the 80% mark is where I think I'd want to be, and I've been off every single year. So I'm
So
hoping to hit
are
that.
you in terms of goals, are you familiar with the SMART acronym? It's
No.
like specific, measurable, attainable, relatable, or relevant or something. And timing, I think is T. So I used to like teach this because I taught 8th grade health, and we used to do goal setting. And a common problem when someone is setting a goal, and why a lot of New Year's resolutions fail, is mainly that S, where it's not specific enough.
Mm,
Like if your goal, the reason you're not accomplishing 100%, it might be that reason. Like if your goal was to do, is to get stronger, you're not gonna do it. But if your
yeah.
goal was to run a marathon in 12 months, or to like do 20, bench presses a day at 45 pounds on each
Yeah.
side, you'd probably do it.
Yeah. Totally. And that's where I, for myself, also have a hard time defining what that looks like. So you do have to get very specific during that. I love from like December 15th to New Year's.
It's
It's
the
just
best.
like paper everywhere. You got family, you're like paper, like dreams and goals, and you're just envisioning.
It is
And
the best.
yeah, and it's almost like the anticipation is better than anything.
Well, what I love about that time is that everyone else is off and I'm the most on.
Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
where I'm like, okay, what's this year gonna be? They're gonna start June 1st. I'm gonna start now. I mean January 1st. I'm gonna start now. Last year, Meg and I went to Florida for most of January for a month. This year, we're gonna do that in December. Whether or not it's Florida, maybe Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or something, we're gonna do it again. We did a lot of goal setting for the year then, but in December, it's gonna be even cooler.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because then you can also break down the following year, the year that just happened, and
Yeah,
that's the most important, debatably.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think another problem that I have too, though, is I set goals like I'm gonna be 180 pounds at 10% body fat. And that's like a
That's
goal,
great.
but it's like, so that's great. And that's specific. But then it's like, all right, I'm not there until
You have to
June,
break it down.
but I'm not there until June. And then over, as it gets colder, and it gets,
Yeah,
more like holiday food, everything, you drop off. So maybe saying from like May till end of September, you want to be X. And then being even more specific.
yeah. So it's like when you're a realtor, and I'm sure you've done this exercise. We may have done it, where if you're trying to close 12 deals a year or accomplish a certain money that you're making commissions per year, you break it down to, okay, how many calls a day is that? Or how many months and then a day, and right? And how many
Yeah.
touch points, how many networking events? And if I average 2 successes out of 100, how many of this do I need to do? So that's all it is. Just everything needs to be broken down to what you do action wise in a day.
That's it. That's it. And it makes it super attainable for anyone. So I think this is a great way to cap off the episode.
I love how we had like a New Year's resolution ending, even though we're in June.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well,
That's
maybe
why we're number one.
that is why we're number one, because you need to check in with your goals. I mean, I have it literally right here. Everyone on
I
YouTube
can't see
sees it
it.
in my back.
But
So
so for any listeners, by the way, please put in the comments. Okay, what am I trying to say, Dylan? We're gonna have an episode maybe surrounding a comment. So talk about that as we wrap up.
yeah. So we don't have solo episodes very often because we're booked out for the next 3 months with amazing guests. Very excited for that, and will not change that. But we want to add more solo episodes. We will add it different times a week, even if necessary.
Yeah.
If you guys, the listeners and the audience, leave questions or talking points that you want to hear discussed.
Or talk shit. If you talk shit, we have so much to talk about to like break down your shit talk.
Yes.
Like give us a hate comment or something or anything, and then we can like make maybe a whole episode surrounding a response to that.
Yes, exactly. And then what we could do too is we make this once a week. We pick it, go to our Instagram. It's just the easiest there. And we'll pick one comment per week that Jake and I will do like a 15, 20-minute conversation that we'll post. And that'll be the solo episode every week, every other week, whatever the number is. As long as you guys keep churning out these comments, then we'll make sure it happens.
Yes. Comments are awesome. So go ahead.
That's it. So everyone, this is episode 51 of the More Smarter Show. Thank you so much for listening. Like and follow along.
Only if you like it.